Now, when we talk about public folders in Exchange 2003, there's an awful lot of similarities between public folders in 2003 and public folders in Exchange 2000. There are some differences, and we'll talk about those as we go through here. But first of all, let's talk about what a public folder is. If you're new to Exchange, let's get you up to speed really quickly here. First of all, a public folder is really just a repository of information that's available to anybody. This is like if you want to think of it as a community mailbox in some ways. Now, we can store documents. We can send email to public folders. We can mail enable them, in other words. We can store pictures, audio files, almost any kind of document that's in digital format we can put in public folders. Now, what good are these things? Well, we can use these for collaboration. We can build forms in Outlook and put forms in there and allow different people to input things like expense sheets, surveys, and that sort of thing throughout our organization. We can put discussion forums, tracking systems, classified ads. I've seen companies use these to provide bulletin board among employees for selling cars and furniture and that sort of thing. I've already mentioned we can mail enable these. Now, in 2003, again, we have the ability to create multiple public folder trees. In 5.5, you only had one public folder tree, and this became an issue in trying to manage that. And I'll tell you, public folders are the kind of things that administrators love, and companies really love these things and really buy into them and use them, or they tend to not use them at all. We'll talk more about public folder trees a little bit later on. Now, we can also secure public folders. We have total control over who can see them, what they can do. And then a really cool feature is these are web accessible, and we have file system access and sharing on these things. Now, we can access public folders either through our Outlook client or directly over the internet through HTTP and through NNTP, like a news group. Now, if you're going to use HTTP and NTTP, you have to apply anonymous access to them. There's some other ways around that, but we won't get into that here. And let's talk about some of the features. We can do full text indexing if we set it up. So if we have a lot of information out there in our public folders, we can do indexing to search for that. We can also set up referrals for public folders, which we can control the access that clients folders. Now, a referral makes sure that a client from anywhere in the organization can see the public folder tree, or they can see the structure, and by double-clicking on the folder, Active Directory will take care of locating the content and presenting it to the user. So the user has to not have any idea. That's a Tennessee way of saying the user does not need to know where that public folder is located. It will automatically content come to them, if you want to think of it that way. Now, public folders, the information is stored inside the information store, and if you remember from earlier videos, there is a public and a private store, and in the public folder store is where you see these. Now, this last little thing that popped up on the bottom here, careful planning is required. And the only thing I can tell you is you'll just have to use these for a little while to see exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the deal. Public folders get replicated, and that's where we're headed. But this replication can become a problem. And I'll show you the choices on that a little bit later on. That's the basics on public folders. Now, coming up in the next few videos, we're going to talk about the public folder trees, creating these folder trees, replication, and so forth.